At least you're not trying to play off the names.
No, no. And I met Garth Brooks a couple of times, which is a great guy. And Vince is a sweetheart of a guy. I mean, have Vince come down, and just because I guess he's a fan, and I've been a fan of his, and I met him a couple of years ago. We did a couple of things together. For him to come down and be on this record, I've always been a big fan of Vince's voice, you know. And I didn't realize that he was so big, because I don't know, I'm not in touch with country. I know what's going on. I turn on the TV set and everybody's winning a Grammy, you know. I've been nominated for so many Grammys in the past, but I'm always the bridesmaid, never the bride, you know. And so to see Vince win it, and he's a sweetheart of a guy. Of course, I wish he was a little shorter than me, but he's not.
Well, that's it.
He's a big guy.
He is a big guy. You know?
And I heard he plays good golf, so, you know, maybe he can give me a couple of lessons.
He's very good at that. He's almost scratch.
There you go.
So, yeah, he's not bad. But, you know, so it is, when you realize that somebody like Vince Gill knows who you are, is that kind of a, I mean...
Well, I know, I tell you the truth, I saw, even about 3 years ago, I went down to spring training, and then Garth Brooks was playing. I think he was playing with the Padres out there.
Oh, right, yeah.
And he was sweating, and he was a little bit out of shape.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw him strike out twice, and I'm going, why don't you? I said, don't you think you wrote the dance? My God, you know?
Right, exactly. You don't have to do this for a living.
But he was good out there. It was a lot of fun. And
that's when he was raising money for the kids' foundation.
Yeah, but I saw him playing with the Padres, and it was a real thrill. It was a real thrill for him to play baseball. You know, because I know all these baseball. You know, Chuck Finley's a good buddy of mine, and Mark McDonald. All these guys from the '70s, '80s that play ball, and they all want to be rock stars. And all the rock stars want to be ball players.
Exactly.
You know?
That's it.
I could have pitched the majors, but my arm went out in Little League.
You could have pitched at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Oh. Had to been, but there's but the two disciplines are very similar though. There's a lot of similarity between an athlete and a ball player.
That's very true too. And when I found out, I'm hearing all these stories about these country guys, you know, drinking and going crazy, you know, that they're doing all the stuff that I'm not bringing up any names, but I'll tell you one thing, I won't be hanging out with them after the show. What they're doing now is something I did 10 years ago.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. But have you sort of had you kind of had your fill of those days?
Well, you know what? I'm a sexaholic, an alcoholic, a manic depressive, but you know what? I can live with all that. I'm bipolar, manic depression, sexaholic, alcoholic, but you know what? I can live with that. No, but you know what? I just like to. I like to get up in the morning. You know, I'm trying to quit smoking cigarettes. It's my only vice. And but basically speaking, every day for me is like a brand new day. You know, and I got kids to raise, and you know, once you start having children, you start looking at life a lot differently. I don't want my kids growing up thinking that their father was a stoned out, pothead, alcoholic, coke freak. You know, and especially marrying a girl right here from Madison, Tennessee. You know.
Exactly.
And so. You know, it's the good life. You know, I'm blessed with 5 beautiful children, and my career's still doing pretty good. And you know, I had no trouble getting up this morning because I didn't have a hangover.
What's the age range of your kids?
You know, I got all these young kids right now coming to these shows, and they call themselves Edheads, and they got these masks. I don't know if you see the masks that they use on ESPN.
Sure.
They put the mask. They all got these things on a stick of me, a picture of me, and they call themselves Edheads. And all over the country, you got these guys holding signs up of me with the picture of me on one of my covers. They call themselves Edheads. And now we have like these kids that are like 6 or 7 years old, that their parents grew up with me, and then their grandmothers were like in their 40s when Eddie Money Record came out in like 77, 78. So I got grandmothers, daughters, and their kids there. It's just amazing how many women can still get you in trouble.
Now, what about your children? How old are your children?
My oldest is 22, and he plays guitar, and he's in his 3rd year at junior college. And I just talked about joining the Marine Corps. I said, give college a shot for a couple of more years. Then I got another son that plays in ESP. He's 17, and he's into Incubus and all these other groups. And my other 2 kids play drums, and my daughter is doing. My daughter's doing a special. I can show you some pictures of the kids.
Sure.
We just took them at the Ritz-Carlton. My wife found out I had all these American Express points, and she didn't like to see. There was money there that she couldn't spend, so she spent a fortune, and we went to the Ritz-Carlton for 6 days. Next thing I know, I'm trying to get on a plane. I can even upgrade from first class to go from Raleigh to Daytona Beach because all my points were gone.
Undiscovered money is
exactly,
one of the worst things.
There's a name for a title. Undiscovered Money.
Wow.
Here's a picture of my wife and all my kids.
Oh, neat.
Zachary's 22.
Wow.
I got 4
Very
boys
nice.
and a girl. You know,
Yeah.
we're always running out of milk in the house. I'll tell you,
That's,
we're always out of milk. you know.
well, that's okay. That's a good thing to be.
But they're a good-looking bunch of kids, and you know, I got them in.
And they all seem to have some musical aptitudes.
Well, you know what? They all play in the garage. I mean, my wife turned my garage into a rehearsal studio. So now I got to wash my car like twice a week because, you know, the kids are in the garage. But they got a PA system in there and they're out there knocking it out all the time, you know.
Is that to your consternation? Are they musically inclined or?
Well, you know what? I never really pushed them. I mean, my daughter, I wanted her to be an X-ray technician or a doctor or a lawyer, but she just started leaning toward rock and roll. And next thing I know, she came to Nashville and she did a really great demo with John Carter Cash.
Oh, okay.
Johnny Cash's kid, and
Sure.
I had the opportunity to meet John before he passed. He was a great man, and my in-laws, you know, did property deals with him and stuff like that. So I got to meet Johnny, and I did a couple of demos with John Carter Cash. And about 5 years ago, he was out there, and his mother came out there screaming at him, just like my mother came out there screaming at me. I mean, June Carter Cash was no different than Mrs. Mahoney, let me tell you. But he's a great kid, and he helped my daughter out. Did some
He's a
great
good
work
producer.
with him.
Yeah, very good.
And now my daughter's getting phone calls from Beyonce's father, and I guess her career is really taking off, so we'll see what happens.
Exactly. So.
And she's walking around in jeans that cost $250, you know. If I
That's one thing
had
that-
4 girls instead of 4 boys, I'd be in the poorhouse.
That's one thing that's changed is the.
Well, it's, you know, the jeans, and my wife, you know, she's got cowboy boots, and, you know, my daughter knows how to dress. She gets that from my mother, her mother, you know.
That's cool.
None of them Beverly Hill girls, which I can't stand. Me, I'm happy to go into Kmart and get a pair of jeans on sale. I'm jumping up and down if they fit me, you know.
That's-
I'm from
yeah.
the old school, you know.
Exactly. Well, there was the.
You know, my wife just bought me 4 pairs of pants for $250 a piece, and somebody broke into my car and stole all my luggage,
Great.
along with $11,000 that I had that was going to give to the Elizabeth Glazier Pediatric AIDS Foundation, which was miserable.
Where did that happen?
That happened in Florida, 5 blocks from my house.
Really?
I was having dinner in a restaurant. I don't want to get into that.
Wow. But
I took a big hit on that one.
that absolutely, yeah. But do you? Well, you probably listen to a lot of what your kids listen to. Do you, or are you opinionated on that at all, or do you?
You know, when I listen to my kids, when I hear these guys going, "Run, Trump, run, go, boo, boo," and I'm going, "What the hell is that guy saying?" And there's not like one group that does it. There's got to be 6 or 7 groups. It all sounds like the lead singer who's burning in hell. You know, I have no idea, but you know, I don't know what the kids are into. But now that I'm not to long hair, one minute I come home and they got long hair, the next time I go home they look like somebody had a Schindler's List.
Exactly.
You know, I can't tell what my kids are into. But they're not smoking cigarettes and they're not doing drugs, and you know, my son went out and bought a Mesa Boogie rectifier amplifier, and he spent $3,000 of money I was saving up for a car for him, and I was ready to kill him. I was ready to kill him. And I go, "Where'd you get that amp?" And he lied to me, and he said it was one of his buddy's amps, and he said, "Dad, I bought the amp with my car money." But he told me on the phone, if I would have been home, I would have bought it. You know, he knows that I can't kill him long distance. But, you know,
He knew better than
I got 4 teenagers in the house. Come on, help me out here.
Well, you get to relive. You get to live that all over.
And I'm always out of milk, I'm telling you.
If it weren't for that, it would be things would be 100% perfect.
Right, but they're
It
not
sounds
into classic rock and they're not into country. They're into Incubus and Fuel and a bunch of all these
yeah.
other groups that come out, you know. Managed a group called MT or something, I don't know, just a bunch of, you know, they got all these new records that I don't, you know, whatever.
Exactly.